Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The guys are here, the chat is ready, and the conversation starts now.
What's going on, Falcons family, man? Hey, it's another live rendition of the Pound for Pound ATL on this pre-Eve Thanksgiving. I know y'all are getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving tomorrow and be thankful for the things that you've been given in your life and all those beautiful things. And unfortunately, celebrate some of the people that you lost along the way. But however the case, you're going to have some great turkey and ham or whatever you want to eat tomorrow. Today is me and Mike Dub. Hey, our boy JR over there is kind of out with a little cold, man, so he won't be in here physically with us tonight, but he is with us behind the scenes, the greatest man behind the scenes, JR there. Mike Dub, Mountain Mike, that's what I'm gonna call you tonight. Mountain Mike, what's up, man?
Yeah, man, and you know what? Hey, you nailed it, bro. Like, it's definitely a time to give thanks. It's a time to it's a time for us to, like I said, where we are, what we got going on, all of that good stuff, man. So, like I said, Toby, feels good to be in the mountains today. I need the down. Listen, we got a lot to talk about. Our team ain't really been all that good to watch or good to talk about. We're going to be a little bit critical today, but you know what? We're going to have a little fun in the process. So good to see you, Toby. And, like I said, man, what's on your mind this week, man? How you feeling?
Hey, man, our boy Sykes, BTW, already say, hey, what's up, y'all? Keep your head up. We ain't done yet. Hey, and I do want to believe that, Sykes. I do want to believe we're not done yet. We got 7 more games to go. It is clearly evident that the Atlanta Falcons still believe they can at least get into that 7th spot in the playoffs. But they currently got 2 teams that beat them in the beginning of the season. They might make that tough, Big Mike. You got the Eagles that already beat them, and I think they're 5-6 now. And you got the Washington football team that just beat the Carolina Panthers on Cam's debut back, and they're 4-6 tied with us. But because they hold a tiebreaker, hey, they are rightfully fighting for that 7th spot. So what do you think about that? Can we do it with 7 more games left?
The thing about this team is every week we leave ourselves a little bit more confused about what the ceiling is for this team. It's like if we played the Saints every week, maybe, but it just seems like, offensively, we can't get out of our own way. It just seems like, our inability, like we hit on this theme a couple weeks ago. Like, it seems like if Matt Ryan isn't going, then nobody's going. Like, if Matt Ryan can't will this team to a victory, then we don't really have a shot, right? So I think we're a little bit in the dungeon a little bit offensively, right? So, football is all about adjustments. I think if we're able to make some of the right adjustments, we'll be hard. I'll put it to you like this. We if we can get out of our own way, there's a shot. But if we can't get out of our own way, we might need to start looking at the draft soon. That's where I'm at. But again,
Yeah, talk about Matt Ryan. Let's talk about that right now. 4 interceptions, no touchdowns the last 2 games. Of course, I contributed a lot of that to his failing offensive line. That is really letting him down right now. I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip on Twitter, but you got 4 guys on 1 guy, and then you got Matt Ryan scrambling for his life. I'm not understanding what we're looking at right now. I mean, a staggering stat, 68-3, which is how we've been outscored in the last 2 games. That just baffles me right now. That the Falcons have not been able to find the end zone at all in these last 2 games, man. How you feeling about that?
Well, I think, like I said, I think we knew to a point that a lot of the magic that we saw offensively, it could get shelved a little bit, right? I think I'm appreciative of what the Falcons. If there's nothing else, I'm the most appreciative of about offense with the Falcons is Cordell Patterson. The way we've used Cordell Patterson, just the revitalization that it's been for his career. But I think it really shows how bare I would say we are with Calvin Ridley out. With it seems like they're trying to figure out Kyle Pitts a little bit. Like they might put their best player on Kyle Pitts and shut him out, and then we're being dared to beat teams in other ways, and we really haven't fit the bill there. I think even with the Patriots, for as bad as the final score was, I thought that we had our opportunities in that game. I just think that execution right now is so low, so minimal, so I think it's starting to bleed over, mentally, right? Because when I look at the first loss that we had, what's crazy is I'm looking at the Patriots. Who do we play before the Patriots again? Who started
Dallas
this off
Cowboys.
Oh,
Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm.
Right. Damn, we've been taking some beats, right? The Dallas Cowboys, they start off, we get that drubbing, right? And you would think that if a team is really, like I would say a playoff team, if a playoff team gets beat by 40 points and they got a short week, they licking their chops because they like, man, we got, man, it was a bad day for us at the office, blase, blase, blah. But we came 3 or 4 days later, and laid another dud. So I think, it's more concerning because that was the first time I would say against the Patriots that I saw Matt Ryan literally put his finger in the chest of all of his offensive linemen and say, man, block for me. Can you give me something? Like, it might have been the first game I thought Matt Ryan, for all the talk of extending Matt Ryan or, Matt Ryan being here for a long time, it was one of the first times in a while where I'm like, does Matt Ryan even want to continue to even be here in this type of environment? Because it just seems like we got so many holes and we don't have enough time or the cap space to fix a lot of them. So, it's just a weird place to be, though. And I don't want to go into how do we get here because Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff, this just, again, I can't talk about this season without talking about the level of talent that we were left with, right? And I think, we got a talent problem, and we've got, an organization problem. We've got an offensive line problem. We got problems all over the board. So, like I said, it's hard to get fired up about the team when you see the holes, man. You see the poked holes, all around the organization. And I think, unfortunately, we're starting to not be able to get out of our own way in that regard,
Yeah, now I tell you, the flags didn't help us. I mean, it was raining and pouring flags on top of our terrible performance on offense. Now, the defense did what they could. They held them Patriots to 13 points, but here's my part that I'm sad about. JR wanted Ramondre Stevenson so bad for the Atlanta Falcons, and we passed on him, and he ran all over us. Him and everybody else, and that's kind of sad because I don't understand why you passed up on some of these running backs who are having some success in the NFL right now. I mean, Michael Carter's having some success over there with the Jets. You got Javonte Williams having some success. Now, I don't know and get the whole thing with Melvin Gordon taking a lot of the snaps over there, but when Javonte has gotten on the field, he's had some success for the Broncos over there. And we passed on all these guys, and we're watching these guys do their thing. And guess what? We're struggling in the run game right now. But we did have one bright little spot, and he's number 30, Quadre Olison, another guy that JR advocated for and was very shocked when we found out he was not going to be one of the guys vying for one of them running back 1 or 2 spots. But now Arthur Smith says that he's earned his right to get some more snaps. Now, how many of those snaps he's going to get Sunday? We need to be able to run the ball, Big Mike. We can't run the football, and now we can't throw it because teams are keying in on our passing game. That's not going to help Matt Ryan at all.
Right. I completely agree. And I think that, I did like you said, you nailed it about Olison. I think I like what I've seen with Olison. Honestly, I like the small sample size of Gallman, but I just think that, it still goes back to the offensive line. I would say I'm not, at this point of the season, I'm still not really sure what we've got long-term in Jalen Mayfield. I think we him to take his lumps in the beginning. I thought that he showed some progress. I thought he had a couple of good weeks where Matt Ryan didn't get touched. You remember couple weeks back, Matt Ryan didn't get touched in like 2 games or something like that. And of
Right.
course, we in those games or won those games, right? So, but I also think that some of the same issues earlier in the year are starting to, just really, right? So it's like, every year when we talk about the offensive line being in flux, it brings us here, right? And I'll be honest with you, I have to go back to the talent, right? Because there's one offensive lineman that I got to call out, and I go straight to the point. It is Caleb McGarry. I think I'm almost getting to the point where I'm ready for this experiment to kind of end, right? Because I think we saw the potential. I thought we knew what we were getting when we drafted this guy out of the first round, high potential guy. But I just think that, sometimes he gets very lackadaisical, and I don't really see the laser focus that you need out of a right tackle to really make me feel comfortable if I'm Matt Ryan, right? Because, again, we're in a tricky situation where, we don't necessarily have a cap. We don't have. There's not a lot of people who I would say would want to even come here. Like, for as much as we say we need free agents, like teams are looking at us and it's like, what would make you want to become an Atlanta Falcon?
Yeah.
So it's like, I really feel like, this offensive line, they got to go up, man. Like for us to even entertain a playoff push, like we got to have the offensive line playing some of the best ball of their lives. And I don't know, Toby, like why do you think the offensive line is struggling to this point? Is it still talent? Is it execution? Is it lack of focus, lack of discipline? Like, what is it? Because I'm very concerned about the ability to protect Matt Ryan again for maybe the, 5th or 6th year in a row. So.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. Shout out to ATL Paris. He says he believes, he shouted us out and said, "What's up, fellas?" First of all, what's up to the pound for pound family? But he says he believes the Falcons can make a push for the playoffs. But a lot of that's hinging on if Calvin Ridley can come back or we can sign someone, that maybe there's a free agent out there. But if not, we'll probably be in trouble, But I shout out to him for still believing. And as I'm seeing through these chats, there are some people that still believe that the Atlanta Falcons can make a push in these 7 games. And, I'm just going to be honest with you. This offensive line, this is an evaluation year. I don't care what Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith are saying. Then they got 2 classes that they're currently evaluating right now, your 2019 class and your 2020 class. And they're already showing us what they feel about some of these guys simply by them being inactive going into game day. John Kaminsky is a big-time inactive former 4th round pick. And now you're starting to see other guys that are also Marlon Davidson is becoming inactive. So they're kind of telling you what they're feeling about some of these guys. They tried to keep Kendall Sheffield, and I wondered why, but I thought about it. It's because they're still trying to evaluate that 2019 class that was drafted, that was with Matt Hennessy, that is stinking it up right now. Matt Hennessy, let me tell you something. Matt Hennessy, I knew from the beginning that Matt Hennessy was not the guy as a center when we drafted him last year, if I'm not mistaken, in 2020. And he's still not the Falcon center. And I don't even understand. Let me tell you that back. I do understand because you're evaluating him. You're trying to see where you at with him getting closer to the end of the season. I can tell you right now, if you have this man back here at the center of the Atlanta Falcons, I love all my Atlanta Falcons. I don't like to talk negative about anybody, but we've seen Matt Hennessy get straight dog most of this season, along with guys like Jalen Mayfield, who probably needs to go back to right tackle because Caleb McGarry ain't holding nothing down because he still can't deal with speed rushes off the edge. Like we knew that in the offseason. Okay, one things we did get right, we knew Caleb McGarry was gonna struggle with speed rushes in the offseason. And you worried about trying to make it to the Pro Bowl. And I'm trying to see how you thinking we're gonna vote for you for the Pro Bowl when you can't even protect Matt Ryan. That's all. That's you know what I'm saying. I don't know, man. I don't know. This talent right now, it is definitely not NFL level talent. You got pieces, but you don't have enough pieces.
Right.
And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think that's where, that's where the breakdown is. like, that's where, I think that when I watch this team sometimes, I almost feel like the team start to take it easy on us. Like once they figure us out, they go ahead and run their objectives. And I think that to me is what you don't want to see, right? Because I think that Arthur Smith is doing a decent job. I won't sit here and throw Arthur Smith like, just out to the wolves, for lack of better words. But I think that this is like a transformation of culture right now, right? Because, I don't know what really to make out of like the Calvin Ridleys, like, because, like your leaders, aren't necessarily dialed in on everything that's going on, right? So, if we were to move on without Calvin Ridley, like what are we with just a Kyle Pitts? Because again, until we're able to effectively establish a genuine run game and running backs are able to get holes and we're able to control the clock a little bit more, I don't really see us being able to change a lot of the outcomes that we've seen over the last couple of weeks because, I would err on the side to say that the football that we played the last 2 to 3 weeks has been borderline boring. Like it hadn't been interesting to watch. There has been very little creativity. We haven't really seen any of the one-year guys step up. I think that some of the safety play has started to decrease, the Deron Harmons, the Eric Harrises of the world. For a while there, that was humming along, right? And I think that we're starting to max out, with the exception of Cordell Patterson, we're starting to max out why some of these guys are on one-year deals. Fabian Moreau, man, like for a second there, he was good. We didn't mention his name a lot. Again, he's a guy. Last couple of weeks, we've been mentioning his name, and it hadn't been positive, right? So, I think we're a team that we're at an impasse where they got to look within. Like the guys that are going to be Falcons long term, they're at an impasse. We got to look inside and say who wants to be here. Like who wants to be here at this point? Because right now, like I said, when you get beat by 40 points and you've got a short week and you're pissed off and you're ready to let somebody else have it, and then you lay down another dud, confidence it starts to affect the mental. And I think that's what doomed this team the last couple of years is. Mentally, they didn't feel like they could win. So you just hope that they keep that fight in them, that like, you know what, we're going to fight all 4 quarters and we're going to fight to the end and we're going to see, basically, what happens here. That's really all we can do at this point.
So I'm going to say this, and then we're going to end, as in JR like to say, our opening salvo. Calvin Ridley, we found out he's eligible now to come off the non-injury list, but Arthur Smith says he hasn't heard any updates on Calvin Ridley coming back. And we're going to leave it at that. So we're going to jump into the chat, and then we're going to come right back to that and talk about it. I'm going to start right here. Tony Lambert, man, he says 3rd and 1, can't get 4th and 1, can't get it. That sequence had me pulling my hair out from last game. That 3rd and 1 where Matt Ryan takes a critical sack there, because they're trying to pass the ball. I didn't understand that myself. Quadri Olison had just converted one of those 3rd and 1s, if I'm not mistaken, running the football, right? And he was running pretty good. And I tweeted this out. It's funny how this man is running the ball well, and you got Bill Belichick over there scratching his head like where this dude came from. But then Arthur Smith helps him out by not letting the guy run the football continuously to run it down the throat. And you decide you're going to pass on it. And then Matt Ryan takes a sack. Then you get a penalty when you're trying to kick a 45 original yard field goal, and you get moved back, and then you end up missing the field goal and losing 3 points. And these last couple of games, Big Mike, they've all been situational football issues, which has changed the momentum of what that game could have been. It happened. If you get that pick 6 against the Dallas Cowboys, Eric Harris read that perfectly well, read the route well and everything, but couldn't get his hands fully on the ball. That ball is going back the other direction with nobody in his path to stop him from getting to the end zone, okay? He gets that pick 6. That changes the whole momentum of that game, and it seems like every missed opportunity has been a reason why the Falcons have lost the last couple of games. Let me get Project Warrior says issue for this team is roster right now, and that's what we were just talking about. I would expect to see a fire sale on guys and a lack of contract restructuring because we are also bottom in the league on cap space. Ghost Peppers, man. What's up, Ghost Peppers? Says, what's good, P4PATL, man? Hey, man, we doing all right. Hey, the Falcons getting whipped right now, but we still gonna believe in the team. Hey, at least the Hawks are making a turnaround, and they
look
back at 500 right now.
That's right.
Fan Till Death. Oh, now that Fan Till Death, that is a great name for this situation with us getting ourselves beat down these last two games, because you know what? We all believe that that's how we're going to be until the day we leave here. And he says, if we go 7-10, it was a realistic year for a first-year head coach with no weapons, which he clearly don't have a lot of weapons, and an aging quarterback. And we know Matt Ryan is getting older. My prediction was 10-7, thinking we wouldn't lose Ridley, and Gage would contribute. I want to start right there. So let's get back to the Ridley thing, right? Because I think that's a perfect segue to get back into the Ridley thing with what he just said. Nobody envisioned, if you'd have told me, and I said this before, if you'd have told me that we were going to lose Julio and Calvin Ridley and not really have a prominent number 2 guy in Russell Gage, I probably would have tried to slap the HE double hockey sticks out of you for even telling me something like that. But here we are. Calvin Ridley, don't know if he's coming back. And me personally, Big Mike, I would not let Calvin Ridley come back this year. That's just my personal opinion, because his head clearly is not in the game. And that's how you get hurt, because he almost got taken out against Miami. We saw he got popped. And I thought at first he was going to be on the injury list if he didn't go on the non-injury list with a hit that he took by the Miami safeties. But anyway, he's out right now, taking time away from the game. We don't know if he's coming back. We don't really know what is going on with that situation. Russell Gage, let's just be honest. He's not a number 2 guy. He's a great role player, okay? But your only possible 1,000-yard season guy is your rookie right now. And I do believe he's going to get over 1,000 yards in these next 7 games and probably 4 touchdowns, which is very shocking to me, because I had no clue. If you'd have told me again that our rookie tight end, who had 12 touchdowns last year for the Florida Gators, not dropping a 1, was only going to have 1 touchdown through all the games that he's played so far, I don't think I would have believed you, Big Mike. What you think about that?
I would agree with you. I would agree with you, because I think that, you know, while we were excited with Kyle Pitts, we really didn't know what we were going to get. And I think, you know, the one thing I got to give Kyle Pitts credit for, no matter how the season shakes out, is that his presence has won us football games. Now, again, I don't want to overly critique a rookie, because he's still a rookie. He's got a lot of time to grow, a lot of time to move into this system, a lot of time to do certain things, and he's going to only get better. But I think that, you know, when you look around sometimes at the success of the league and you look at the draft and you look at what this team honestly needs, sometimes it does feel like a luxury that we got this guy, right? Because when I look at that offensive line, you know, and we did all of the draft house and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, we knocked you know, we did a Jalen Waddle, we did a Jamar Chase, we did you know, all these other guys that were explosive, right? But I also think that Penei Sewell pick, to an extent, you know, it's almost like I would have appreciated a Penei Sewell, just for the standpoint that, like, when you got a quarterback, you got such a veteran quarterback with this lack of protection, it's just such an embarrassment on the organization. I think it's one of the most embarrassing situations in the league, to be honest with you, because, you know, a lot of teams, you look at even the Elways, the Marinos, the Peyton Mannings, like, you protected those guys' body of work by at least giving those guys a chance to throw the ball. I just think that the lack of talent is almost like unforgivable, to the point that, you know, again, that's why I go back to Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff a little bit. And you know what, while we're talking about Dan Quinn knew what he left. That's why he beat it so bad the other week when, you know, he got the game ball. He knew exactly what he left in Atlanta when he went to that, you know.
You know, it's so funny, because I think Project Warrior is in this. He must be part of us, because before every time we get to a topic, he's already talking about the topic. So he just mentioned about if Matt Ryan wanted to leave the Atlanta Falcons, he wouldn't blame him. And it'll be 100% the organization's fault. We're paying top dollar for a bottom tier roster. He ain't lying. I mean, all of those are valid points. This is another valid point that Project Warrior has right now talking about this roster. And just shout out to them right now for what they're bringing out here, because all of it's facts. It's facts. And I wondered, are they trying to make Matt Ryan say that he don't want to be here anymore? Because why did you not do something to protect this guy? You put a guy that's only played 4 starts as a center last year, okay, by default, as your starting center in his second year in the NFL. And like I said before, while he's had a couple of games of looking good, he's had more games of getting bulldozed. Okay, we've watched it. Okay, him and everybody else in that middle. Chris Lundstrom can't do everything by himself in his 3rd year in the NFL. And like you said, Caleb McGarry, he's the same person he was last year and the year before that. It's no different. He can't stop the speed rush. He can't slow it down. But yet, here we are, still experimenting, the Caleb McGarry experiment, the Caleb McGarry project, like the Tony Rich project. We're doing this same thing with him, trying to see what we got. And I don't know where the Falcons are going to go next year. Look, we can kick Terry Fontenot for the free agency he's brought in, but let's be honest, man. Who else he going to bring in other than what he brought in? I don't know. If you help me, please understand. What else could we have done? Now, there's some guys I thought we could have gotten on the cheap that we let slip through the crack. But who did you see in free agency that you felt like would be better than Eric Harris?
Nothing. I didn't have anybody. And you know, like this. We allegedly won free agency the year before with Dante Fowler and the Todd Gurley signings, and the Falcons won free agency. But the problem is that, like I said, there's no cohesion, there's no collaboration, and right now it doesn't really look like a vision is crystallizing right now. I think that's probably what's frustrating the fan base the most, is that, okay, we get a Kyle Pitts. All right, great. We got Hayden Hurst, we got Kyle Pitts. What does that do for us? Collectively, it really hasn't done a lot, because if we talked about this a lot in the summer. I just had the dream of Hayden Hurst and Kyle Pitts running on double crosses and somebody getting open.
We all did. Oh.
And it just didn't work out like that, right? So I think, as fans that know this organization, that know, the way the administration works for this team, we just take a step back and we understand that, there were some moves made that weren't going to put fans in seats, excuse me. Like, better word. Like, it was not going to get fans to the game. It was going to be to keep the lights on for all intents and purposes. But it wasn't going to say, man, I got to go take my son to the game. Because when I looked at the tickets against the Patriots, they were pretty cheap in the nosebleed, probably as cheap as I've seen in years, for and that's not a good sign for the brand of your team, though, Such a nice
that stadium has been very empty. And I really hate it because Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith politicked hard to try to get fans talking about we need y'all and, at the camp and all of that stuff. And even when we was at the scrimmage game at the stadium, they was doing a little, political speech and everything, trying to get fans in the seats. And fans was not trying to hear that, because we looking at the product and we saying, your product don't match what you're saying out of your mouth.
Right.
Now I will be one of the first ones to admit, I thought in the offseason, the way the schedule was set up, that the Falcons would at least have a capable roster. Now, this is before we knew that it was really true about Julio gone, and we knew we had Calvin, and I was dreaming of getting Kyle Pitts and drafting him before the draft came up. Said that I believe the Falcons could at least ink that 7th spot. But now you're 4-6, you got a shot, but who do you have to help you and prepare you to get in there now? Because now, like I said, you got the Eagles who are trending upwards. You got Washington football team with Heinicke, right? Doing a thing, right? and they beat you. So they hold a tiebreaker over you. And Minnesota is probably going to be vying for that 6th spot in the playoffs because they're playing well. Kirk Cousins is playing probably his best football he's played since he's been in the NFL since 2012.
Right.
So you're looking at this team right now, and I mean, while you have a few pieces, I do agree about the fire sale. I mean, look, man, I know people will probably want to kill me for this, but I really think that you're going to have to open up some things by putting Grady Jarrett on the market. I really do, because I don't, with where you are right now, holding on to guys like Grady Jarrett, who is going to be demanding a second big-time contract, you're not going to be able to afford it. So stop tricking yourself and see what you can get. I think Calvin Ridley, if he comes back to football, you already picked up his 5th-year option. I think he needs to be a guy on the market. And we're going to have to build through this draft and get the type of players that's going to fit and work. Listen, despite what we're seeing, I do believe in Arthur Smith's schemes and the coaching staff. I think it's not the schemes. I think it's the players that are not able to play it. You don't have the players that are able to play what it is that you're trying to do. Because we clearly seen when this offense is clicking, it's clicking. But the problem is now you become so predictable. Arthur Smith was honest about that. They become predictable. You can't run the ball. And I'm going to be honest, Big Mike, I honestly think that Arthur Smith got the googly eyes, okay, and felt like they were going to throw themselves all the way to the Super Bowl with Matt Ryan's arm, and it finally has caught up to him. Because now you can't run the ball, and you can't now pass the ball. So you have no passing game or running game, and that is 2 bad combinations, especially when you got somebody like, look, I love Mike Davis. You know what I'm saying? He's a hometown guy, but right now, all he does have to offer is pass protection. And really, that ain't saying much because he can't throw the ball.
Right.
So you might as well let Olsen get his snaps, and let's see what we can do.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is a team that we need leaders and we need players, right? We need culture changers, right? We need somebody that is going to demand, his fellow man to come bring it every week. And I'll be honest with you. When we talk about the fire sale, it almost has to extend almost to Deion Jones as well, too. Now, he is under contract. But, ultimately, like, for as good as he is for this defense, he's not elevating this defense to a championship level. Like, he's a good player, makes a lot of plays, active, was a rookie on the Super Bowl team, has been, knows his organization. But, again, he's been around for a lot of losses, right? It's almost like we almost have to rid ourselves from the stench of loss, right? And if players got lots of snaps out there and losses and we're still losing, then we need to make decisions on those players. And unfortunately, talking about a Grady Jarrett is tough, but, it's almost like you almost need to let him compete for who he is. Because you're right. You're talking about a guy like, you talk about Mike Davis, but it's like, a guy like Grady Jarrett, Atlanta guy, born in the city. Dad was an Atlanta Falcon. I mean, it doesn't get much more Falcons filter than that, right? But again, we're a team without a strategy and a vision right now. Now, there is a strategy that's working, but there's a strategy that's in motion, but it isn't necessarily working. Or I would say from the fans' perspective, in our eyes, we can't necessarily see it right now because we don't know what the ultimate, get these 1-year guys in. We don't know what the Terry Fontenot, Arthur Smith vision is. But I would caution Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith that the fans are a little bit impatient now. The fans are a little bit more impatient now from the standpoint that they may not have that time, right? Because, unfortunately, we didn't think we'd hear this. It's like fans are starting to call Arthur Smith's job. It's like, wait a minute. Whoa. Like, we already have, as many wins or more wins than we had last year. So I'm not ready to call for his job. But I will say this. Similar to, I would say, a Dan Mullen in Florida, right? These fan bases are not going to wait for a long time, because I think we've already been, I would say dramatized or stigmatized by Dan Quinn after all these years. At this point now, for the average Falcon fan, it just feels like punishment.
Yeah, and I'll say this, man. Shout out to Ghost Peppers. He said first round picks mean nothing. We have both coaching and talent problems past couple of weeks, which has been true. There are no excuses for any coaching staff to average 1.5 points over 2 game stretch. And I do agree with that part. Now, I'm not going to totally dog Arthur Smith because I do believe that their schemes do work. But what I see right now is you don't have the talent to be able to pull off what it is you want to do. You definitely don't have enough talent on offense. And you, as well as I know, we were built being a offensive juggernaut. Okay.
Right.
We're no longer an offensive juggernaut, and we don't have a good defense. So now when you don't even have the identity of the powerhouse offenses that we used to be, okay, prior to Arthur Smith coming here, and even prior to Dan Quinn coming here, because we had those powerhouse offenses even with Dan Quinn here, but the defense was so bad they couldn't stop the leaks of the points for the offense to be able to, when they score 35 points a game, another team is scoring 40. So I do agree with the coaching staff that is very disappointing. You're averaging 1.5 points in the last 2 games. That just says a lot about this talent to me, because this talent it's poor, like we continue to say. Let me see. Let's see who else we got here. And we thank everybody, man, for joining us tonight. I know it is Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow, so it's, a lot of people are being with the family tonight, laughing and giggling and watching movies and smelling that wonderful turkey in the oven and ham if you do eat it. So we do appreciate y'all being here. I'm trying to see. Okay, Fred Butts. Fred Butts is always positive. So I always want to read one of his. Now I may not always agree with what he says. He don't always agree with what we say, but I'm gonna read it because he does believe. Again, he's positive about the Falcons making it. We are making the playoffs. Boy, he's positive about that. We're going to turn it around. Arthur Smith needs to stop being so conservative, though. Now, Arthur Smith has been conservative because you lost one of your dynamic weapons in Cordero Patterson. And it's crazy to believe, and I believe he was going to have a big role, but the impact that Cordero is having right now, Big Mike, it is clearly obvious that when he's not in this offense, we are heavily missing him. Right. And that's unfortunate because we don't have anyone else that can detract some of the attention that Kyle Pitts has been getting since day one, since the Eagles game. And there's been some games where defenses have not being able to stop him. And like I said, he's on his way to being the only 1,000-yard receiver that you have. Now, Cordero will be 1,000 yards plus if he can get through these next 7 games, all-purpose impact player for you. But other than that, you don't have a running game. Mike Davis has been missing in action, and you're trying to find out who can tote the rock. And hopefully it is Quadre Olson. Maybe he can give us a spark in that run game, man, because I don't think we're going to get too far with this team if we can't develop some kind of run game. I mean, shout out to the defense. A.J. Terrell continues to play lights out football for the Atlanta Falcons when he's healthy because he's had some concussion scares. Let's just be honest with that. Sometimes you hold your breath when he either hits somebody or he gets hit by accident because he's up under the tent like he went up in there Thursday night. Now I'm sitting up there scared because I'm like, oh Lord, but he did play through and it was all good. But that worries me with a player like him, that he has playmaking ability. Got his first interception of the year. And that was wonderful to see. The team, like I said, the defense did their thing, 13 points for a long time, but your offense couldn't get nothing going. We hadn't even got to this part yet. 4 interceptions in this game, 2 by Matt Ryan and 2 by your backups at 1 apiece with Felipe Franks and Josh Rosen. Man, you got to talk about this. You got to talk about this, Big Mike. Because I ain't never seen nothing like this before. All your quarterbacks throwing interceptions in the game.
Man, you know what? Let's that's a good point to start there. 3 quarterbacks, 4 interceptions. That's just a bad recipe, right? It just lets us know that, like, one, I give the coaches credit, like, they didn't give up on Felipe Franks, right? I think we just expect Felipe Franks to be a practice squad guy, and they are willing to maximize Felipe Franks' value, Josh Rosen's value. But let this be another reminder for all of the people that want to get Matt Ryan out of town. It's not like if you look behind him that there's a lot of confidence, right? These players, like these teams, will be licking their chops if they saw Josh Rosen every week, Felipe Franks every week. So I think when it comes to strategy, again, this offseason is going to be important to let us know what the next 4 to 5 years of this team is going to look like. Because I'm not going to go too hard on Felipe Franks because he is a rookie. And I think that, there is some obvious talent there. But I think, if a team, there's no team, I would say, in the NFL that misery seems to find more so than us, right? Because I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's just the scheme or if it's the coaching or if it's just the culture. But I just don't see quarterbacks right now outside of Matt Ryan that can play winning football. Like, I think we were spoiled. It just lets me know that we were spoiled when we had a Matt Schaub sit on the bench. We had other quarterbacks. Because right now, if it isn't Matt Ryan, I don't think we really have a shot to win. Like, that's just point blank, period.
Yeah. Now, here's what we're gonna do, because we know it's I call it pre-Thanksgiving Eve. Guys, we're not gonna go a whole hour and a half tonight because people are with their families. Mountain Mike is with his family, so we don't want to hold up too long with everybody tonight. We know everybody want to get to their family, and that's why we thank everybody for being here. I'm gonna read a couple of more questions. And then, Big Mike, I want to end it on what do we think these Falcons are going to be able to do against these 2-8 Jaguars? Let me go to Tony Wright, because he's another pound for pound faithful who's being here with us. And we were just talking about this guy and him being inactive. He says, I've been hyping Marlon Davidson ever since we drafted him, and he's done absolutely nothing. Either he's hurt and missing games, or he's healthy and playing, but he's invisible. Now, there was a couple of games where Marlon Davidson looked like he was going to do some damage, right? And then all of a sudden, like Tony Wright said, this guy has fallen off, and he's been inactive for a couple of games. As a matter of fact, these last couple of games, he hasn't been on the field, and it's starting to tell you a little bit about what they're seeing and believing about Marlon Davidson. And by him being inactive, man, do you believe that Marlon Davidson still has something to work with?
You know what? I think with Marlon Davidson is a lot of bark, not as much bite, right? Like, I think Marlon Davidson is one of those guys that you hear him before you see him, right? So, with Marlon Davidson, there is talent there, right? But again, I think I'm not really sure what the culture of this Falcons team is, right? Because guys like that who've been successful in college, he was pretty much an all SEC defensive lineman. These are guys, that's what I mean in terms of this is another scouting failure, that these guys look good on tape. They seem like they're saying the right things in interviews, but for whatever reason, the talent and the opportunity just aren't matching. Like, look at the Sinats of the world, the Kaminsky's of the world, Marlon Davidson's of the world, miss after miss after miss on the defensive line. And then you got a guy like Anthony Rush or Mike Pennell who were basically on the street, who are making more of an impact, who look more like a traditional defensive lineman, right? So I think that Terry Fontenot, Arthur Smith, and the scouting department, they really got to nail it, man, because Marlon Davidson is a guy that we don't really know what we get out of this guy. He can't really stay healthy, and it's not really consistent enough for us to say this is a Falcon that we can build on as we move forward, right? So I think it goes to the point of we only focus on the Falcons that we can build on, going forward, right? So,
yeah. Let me read this by Anthony Ramus. He says, during Dallas game, we saw how many stars would come on the field at a time of need. Crazy how much talent they have, and we have borderline 3-4 higher level players. And I mean, he's absolutely right, because we don't have many stars at all versus Dallas Cowboys stars. And it's unfortunate. And Dallas did exactly what he was supposed to do. When you got a team that doesn't have a lot of NFL level players on it, like the Falcons do, you're supposed to beat the Falcons down the way that they beat us down. And I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, you see in New England, they had money to play with, and now it's paying off for them. They have a winning record with their rookie Mac Jones, who's currently right now doing better than any of the other rookie quarterbacks that are currently out there, and he's not mobile.
Right.
Go figure. But let's go ahead, man, and end it there with, what do you think the Falcons, are going to be able to do anything against a team that just shut down the Buffalo Bills, might I add, right? How do you feel that the Falcons are going to be able to win this game? What do you see happening that needs to happen?
Well, I see a defense that's hungry, like a defense that makes an imprint early, right? And I think this is one of those games where if it's up for some players to make their noise early, it's got to be the linebackers. This is one of those for Louis Khan, Deion Jones, get an early pick on a rookie, make the rookie look like a rookie. I would say, Okundeji, get to Trevor Lawrence early, because the problem is that the Jaguars are a poor man's Dallas Cowboys when it comes to their offense, because they want to do the same thing that the Cowboys did. They want to get 4 or 5 guys out there. They want to use the Marvin Jones. They want to get James Robinson in space. They want to get Chark or, all of the different weapons in space, right? And I would say with Urban Meyer is a coach that if you give him an opportunity to figure it out, which he's starting to do, they don't have a lot of talent, but they're going to work with the talent that they have, right? So we're almost playing our polar opposites, because if I'm honest, we're more that 2-8, 2-ish Jaguars team than the 5, 4, and 6 game. Because, if you think about it, a lot of the games that we've won to this point have been 7 points or less. So we've won a lot of the close games, but we've also lost a lot of the close games. So we could also be a team that could be in second place if we had a little bit more talent, but we're also that team that plays down to our competition as well, too. So I think we got to do something to make Trevor Lawrence uncomfortable, because you know what? He's no different than another rookie that we just played. You get this guy, he's going to pick us apart. And I would say, for all intents and purposes, Trevor Lawrence had the more storied career than Mac Jones for all intents and purposes. Right. So please make the rookie look like a rookie. Like period. We had a rookie last week. We made the rookie look like a 5-year veteran. We got to make the rookie look like the rookie for us to have a chance at this game this week. Or if not, it's going to be another sad song on Sunday, and we're going to be saying the exact same thing next Wednesday on the show.
And that we don't want to do. We got to be able to run the ball, Big Mike. We got to be able to run the ball, man. I can't take any more. The passing game was all fine and dandy when it was working, but now teams knowing you can't run the football, they're going to dial in on that, and they are shutting that down, especially when you don't have Cordero Patterson. You don't have Cordero Patterson, who is making a huge impact right now. One could argue is probably 90% of this offense, right? Kyle Pitts, yes, he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, but you take him away, you don't have nothing. And you got Hayden Hurst on IR at least for 3 weeks, right? And who didn't really give you much of anything when he was healthy, but fumbling the football. Now, he had some good catches that he had here and there, and that touchdown against the Jets and whatnot. But he hasn't really given you anything much, and you didn't pick up his 50 option. So you're going to have to come in here and be able to run this ball down the Jaguars behind. You do not want to give them any more confidence than I'm sure they already have after shutting down the Buffalo Bills, all right, not allowing them to score any point but 6 points. So you're going to have to figure out a way to beat this 2-8 team, because if they beat you, I don't see how you can still be talking about playoffs. I don't even want to hear playoffs right now, because I'm going to be tweeting out, I think it was Jim Moore talking about playoffs.
Right.
Let's don't even talk about playoffs, because that is exactly where I'm borderline at. If I hear you and you lose this game on Sunday and you talking about some playoffs after we don't have some wonderful food on Thursday and you can't even beat the 2-8 Jaguars. But that's pretty much all I got right there, man. I mean, you got anything else on your chest that you want to get off before we close it out?
Because we're aligned, we see the same game, right? We see a team that if they give us something to root about and they give us some positivity to spin, we're going to spin it. But I think right now we're looking at a team that we want to see more of, because what we see, we're not really impressed. Like we're understanding. And it's like, okay, I see what you're trying to do, but it's not necessarily, I would say, the level that we would like to see our team, that we at least feel confident, because there are years we've had this same record where we at least felt a little bit more confident about the team. I think right now, this is I can say the talent just ain't there, man, and we just gonna work with what we got. And it's actually a little bit brutal to watch and see, but you know what? When you root for your team, you know, you just hope for the best. That's all we can do is hope. And hope springs eternal, and we don't like a lot of hope, but all we can do is hope that they that, you know, somebody steps up, puts this team on their back, and allows us to finish the, you know, the back half, back end of the year, you know, a lot stronger than we've started, because first 10, 12 weeks have been pretty rough. So
Yeah, they've been rough. But man, with that being said, man, we're gonna go ahead and close it on out. As always, man, you guys can follow me on Twitter at TobyD1991. Big Mike, what you got?
please follow your boy Mike Dub, MIKE_DUB. Man, I appreciate the follows. Man, like I said, Toby, hey, look, I'll be the first. I want to wish, you know, your family a happy Thanksgiving. JR, your family a happy Thanksgiving. Pound for pound family. Wish all of y'all a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully y'all got something to be thankful for outside of these Falcons, because the Falcons don't necessarily give us a lot to be thankful for sometimes, but neither here nor there. But definitely want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to all of the families that are watching us for sure.
Yeah, and man, you know the other two guys aren't with us right now. You can definitely follow JR at Grim1128. That's GRIMM1128. And you can follow Jimmy at Jimmy Obama. Follow us all, man. We'll follow you back and talk some Falcons football. And keep your heads up, man. I'm gonna go with that. Keep your heads up tonight, man. Despite what we saw the last 2 weeks, and all I got to say is just win, baby.
Please,
just
that's
win.
all we want to win, baby.